You can take this for what you will, but for the most part, I'm making this just as a little statement for the fact that I'm well aware that I'm terrible at keeping a even remotely acceptable upload schedule. So these next two are more or less just for me to just kind of outline what I want to try and do for upload times and whatnot, because trying to do it all 3 days of the weekend is kind of a mess because I don't necessarily have the best spacing for time and whatnot, especially with the fact that not every weekend is fully available to me. So I don't know. I'm going to try something a little different. I'm going to hopefully do Wednesdays, Fridays, and Sundays, but who knows? We'll figure it out. I will be going over influenza A virus. To start off, infection. The origin was within 18th century Italy, wherein animals that were domesticated transferred the virus to those around them. Many further epidemics occurred because of continued travel and transfer throughout the 19th and 20th century. Ways that it transfers between people or to people is through an infected individual's coughing, sneezing, or even talking, as it transfers through water droplets, inhalation of said droplets, or picked up through contact and placement in open areas of the body, wherein this displays the fact that it's transferred through humans to humans. Structure. I am by no means going to pronounce these properly, but I will still try. So, the hemagglutinin, which is one step, or it starts one step in the process of coagulation. Neuraminidase, which breaks down glycosides. Matrix 1 and 2, which are the cushioning jelly within the inside of the structure. Nucleoprotein, which consists of ribosomes, nucleosomes, and proteins. Non-structural proteins, which are what the background animation is displaying. Polymerase acetic protein, or a heterothermic polymerase. Polymerase basic protein, two of which help start transcription, which allows the cell to start replicating the RNA strand. Polymerase basic protein, which again helps with the above. Capsid, which is one layer of the protein shell for protection. Lipid envelope, which is also an extra shell for protection. Symptoms. The main overlying disease that is inherited through having the virus is the flu, which can have the symptoms of either fever, cough, shortness of breath, difficulty breathing, fatigue, sore throat, runny or stuffy nose, muscle pain or body aches, headaches, vomiting, and diarrhea. It can come in several forms, of which influenza A infects birds and some mammals, influenza B infects humans and seals, influenza C infects humans and pigs, Issa virus infects fish, and Bourbon virus infects humans and is transferred through ticks. Damage. For the most part, influenza damages the entire body as it utilizes any cell in an attempt to replicate itself. With it being a virus of RNA single-strand genetic material and virulent nature, it merely places its own information into the cell, wherein the immune system responds purely by destroying the cells, which causes damage to the body. Otherwise, the lytic cycle completes and the cell is destroyed regardless, further displaying its virulent behavior. Cures. With the virus's high mutation capability, new vaccines constantly are created. With this, frequent vaccinations must take place for a true benefit to be gained long term, as after 1 year's passage, a new strain is surely to arrive. In fact, within one of the articles I read, it said something about more than 2 new vaccinations being needed to be created per year because of how frequently it mutates. Alongside this, many medications can be taken to reduce the symptoms of the newly acquired virus, of which are displayed there, and I will not attempt to pronounce them, with most treatments coming down to above average self-care and rest, being mostly hydrating frequently and laying down. Death. Most normal modern years, the average death toll from influenza is around 34 to 43,000, and this is displayed between the years of 2018 and 19, where there was a total of 34,157 deaths from influenza. During 1967, nearly 100,000 people died, and in 1957, 116,000 individuals died. Although these numbers are still not comparable to that of 1918, when the Spanish flu was at its peak, claiming over 675,000 lives that year. This pandemic killed more than that of all other values combined and more than any other influenza-caused events of its time and later within a single year, while having a total of over 21 million throughout its entirety. Moreover, this event is so famous that many films, books, and even video games were created based on it, one of which I played personally, called Vampire, wherein you play a doctor trying to figure out their own problems amongst attempting to solve those we see dying. Within the game, you can see prevalent amounts of individuals laying on gurneys, beds, whatever they can simply place them on. Whether or not they seem to be alive is up to your decision making, but for the most case, there are nearly no individuals in a healthy state physically. Location and risk. For the most part, influenza cases are present everywhere, although one particular study noted it is more prevalent in the eastern portion of the world when compared to the west, more specifically Southeast Asia within the eastern region. Those most in risk of influenza are individuals 65 years and older, as well as 2 years and younger. Alongside this, anyone who has a blood-related disorder like sickle cell anemia. This would be because of their immune system being lacking or having aged and being less efficient at the ability of removing the virus from their body. Ay, 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 ay.